So the room's slowly filling up here. Ready for the lightning talks? Please welcome on stage my fellow co-host, lovely Anke.
So welcome to the Lightning Talks. I'm very happy that we have 5 talks, although we are missing the 5th speaker right now, but I'm sure he will come into the stage soon. So first up is Leon from Sandstorm, and I just noticed on my card there's written what's new. So I'm quite unsure what you will tell us about, so let's be surprised.
Test. Okay. I'm Leon from Sandstorm. We recently had the problem of needing to communicate something to our editors directly, not through project management or product owners, but directly the people who edit content. And we didn't see any way to do that in Neos. So the question was, how do we transport news for the editor? What changed in the structure of the project, what new properties to put in the inspector, what they shouldn't forget inside of Neos. So we created these 2 packages that work closely together that enable us, or that create a part in the back end where news updates about this specific project can be published by the project management or the developers. For example, here, we have this basic structure, and then we have, let's say, news entries, and you can put screenshots and texts and tell people that they should now put tags on blog posts, because that's the new feature. How do we do that? And what's the idea behind it? We wanted to keep it super simple, so we thought, who would like to communicate to editors simple stuff which is not technical, which might be the development team when they hit release and something new is appearing in the project, and which also might be some people who regularly talk to the customers, like project management, who don't code. So the question is, what's the source of this? Where does it come from? And we ended up with a concept that it should actually be editable in Neos, because that's so easy. That's where you create content and everyone can learn it, or doesn't even need to learn it. So in this case, that's the Sandstorm Live website. We put it in the same website, but it could be in any Neos instance. So it could be in your central instance, distributing content to all your customers' projects. They can be connected through a public URL. And that's it. That's basically the whole concept. Is you can install it. It's already on GitHub. You get node types. You just put that in your content somewhere. It's hidden by default. If I log out, it's just a blank page. You have to have a backend role to see it, because you always will consume it in the backend. So secrets or something internal of the project are not indexed by Google or something. And then you can have a very easy structure of, basically, I think we only provide headlines, text and images. You place them, and it's what you see is what you get. It's not like a blog. There's no history, no links, no multiple pages. It's one page. Whatever you think is too old to be still communicated, you just take that section, delete it, and publish it. And then that's what the people see. So how do they get notified that something is new? Because that's a central mechanism. We want to push this information in the Neos backend. It's quite a simple mechanism. We have a date that we can put, and everyone who has not seen a pop-up after this date will get a new pop-up. This is a very explicit publication mechanism I will show to you, because it's very simple via cookie. I just reload the page, and even I myself see it, and everyone else sees it once, and then this is stored in a cookie when they saw it last. So you can directly go to this section and get the news. And we did it this way because we didn't want to have too many notifications for typos or irrelevant changes, which you want to keep your content updated, but it's not always like worthy of distribution, let's say, or push notification. So that's the whole concept. We already created it in the Flowpack namespace because we want to integrate another part of that, or want to propose it for integration in the Neos core, or at least a second part in the Neos core, because we're thinking about more things on this dashboard, more news channels, let's say. One which could be from the Neos and Flow project, like communicating why it would be sexy to update, for example, to Neos 9, because this creates projects and turnover. People will book at your companies because they think, wow, this new feature in the next update, I want that. How can I get it? So some kind of marketing channel, let's say. And another one could be like a more visual changelog of what changed since your last Neos version. So you get all the new UI benefits. If you don't know about drag and drop and I don't know what came between Neos 5 and Neos 9, new stuff, the vision is to have more news channels here and discuss this with the community. If it makes sense, what would be too much, how to not annoy people. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's it.
So thank you, Leon. I remember we talked about this notification about news from Neos at some sprint at one point, so maybe that's something we want to integrate. So next up will be Stefan Bruggemann, and he will tell us about the AI Toolbox, which was nominated for one award yesterday. And keep in mind, you can also submit questions in the gap for the lightning talk. I will check if there are any, and I think we may have time for 1 or 2 questions afterwards. So if you have any, please submit them. So it's your stage.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Good morning. Well, content creation usually is fun, especially with Neos. But what you often see is that SEO descriptions and image alt descriptions are forgotten or just ignored. And this is just because it's a lot of work to create this type of content. And the AI toolkit was built to lower this barrier as low as possible. And from agency perspective, we just install the package, we add a mixin, and of course, an API token. And now the editors are able to just create with one click the content they need, or at least a good starting point, to be honest. And for specific node types, you are able to optimize the prompt. So if you have a specific document node type, in our case, for example, the case node type, it does not make sense that there's a description generated which is promoting the product itself. So we want the description which is promoting us, because we created this case. So this is super easy to just optimize your prompt, which is used to generate the content. And what else? The same concept is applicable to every inspector input field and text RIA. For example, just a summary of a blog post or content for teaser elements. So you don't have to write all of that by your own. And we also made it very extensible. We have built interfaces for model handlers and model connectors, so we can integrate basically what you want to. We attached, for example, here on the right, this is our custom tool, which is an advanced brand voice readability analysis and SEO suggestion tool. So basically, a lot. This is built with Flowise in the backend, so it's an agent running somewhere else with different and combined models behind there. You're able to just attach what you want. It could even work with your local models. And yeah, there's one small more thing. Last week we also added in-place translation feature. So it can just click into your in-place editing field and click one button and it's translated to the language you're in the backend. And that's pretty nice. Again, you can optimize this prompt to match your brand voice if you have the knowledge to. And if you don't have the knowledge to do that, just use it as a starting point to make your optimizations. Yeah, that's it. Give it a try. Suggest a feature. Please suggest a feature. Try it out. Or even better, create a pull request with optimizations. And yeah, try to. I hope to get to a point where this package is the go-to application to just have a small, easy package to make our clients able to build faster, better content. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Has anyone already tried the package? Just a quick. So, yes. Oh, in the first row, there is one. But I don't know what I should do about the shaking point. Are you unsure of if you tried it out? Or? Okay. I have a question that's not for you, unfortunately. Some obvious question for Leon. What's your package called?
Yeah. Should I quickly say that?
Yes.
Jump back. Seems like I was too lightning. I forgot about that part, the promotion. So it's called Neos What's New Dashboard. And the package you have to install for your editors, it's Neos What's New Editor in my project, because we want to have more new streams. It's still a little rough under the hood. We just publish it for the NeosCon, so you can try it out. The cross-site thing is still missing, and we're working on it. So you can have it in huge projects with multiple Neos instances. Please try it out, submit pull requests, and come discuss what you think might be good to announce, to publish to people. Thanks.
On. There. So a quick question for Stefan. Is the AI toolkit compatible to Neos 9? Yes. Okay, it's a yes. So you can try it out in all projects or brand new Neos 9 projects. And feedback is always appreciated. So next one is Nicholas. He was here on stage for the Lightning Talks during last year. So it's second time he's here, and maybe next time we have a full-length talk from him. After 2 Lightning Talks, let's go to the big stage. And he will tell us about the rise of the machines.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I apologize for every hiccups and screw-ups in advance. Social event yesterday was fun and long. And I prepared the slides this morning, but the advantages of preparing the slides on the day you're going to hold them is that you can take in all of the inspiration I gathered yesterday. And that's mainly 2. Comics are cool. Presenting the story in an easy, relatable way makes fun for everybody. And my lack of creativity is solved by AI. So Welcome to my talk, The Rise of the Machines, but our clicks have a heart. I want to go on a Twitch journey with you. In the good olden days, there were only users. The web was made for users. The content was written by users, but it had a problem. We didn't find the content, so we had cool new friends, spiders, which came and said, hey, you're looking for this. Hey, I already found that. Go and look here. But then, oh my God, evil bots came too, and they did all sorts of things. They scraped your web content, and they tried to submit forms and all that bad stuff. And if we go and look where we are now, it's getting even worse. So those are the numbers projected from the 2023 Bad Bot Report. And what we also see, what is getting worse again, is the ability of AI to create text and images. But what we see here is that most of the internet traffic ain't human anymore, or hardly. And why does this matter for us as a publisher? We make the promise to our customers that we report only valid clicks for them, and that we do extensive bot protection and human validation. But how do we do that? And so that's our main interest, why we have this whole setup going in the background. But every once in a while, a bot actually managed to get by through our detections and hits a form. And in some forms, the handler is simply sending an email to one of our employees, and usually that's a one-time hit, and we just tell the employee on the service desk, yeah, sorry, we can't hit everything, just leave it. But this time it was special. First of all, there were extremely many requests hit by the form which didn't get detected, and it happened on a weekly basis to the same time. So we looked into it, what that particular bot was doing, and we found out that it actually adapted to all of our countermeasures in a semi-manual way. So, for example, what do we have in place? Let's skip that in. Why don't we use captures? We A/B test them regularly, and we see that they're increasingly circumvented by bots. They're always a pain with corporate governance. Barrierefreiheitsstärkungsgesetz is also an issue in the future, but the main reason is if we put a capture on somewhere, we usually see a 20 to 40 conversion rate drop, and that's simply not acceptable for a business case. So what do we normally use? We use a mixture of client and server-side technologies to spot them. And usually, the list is long, but usually it's enough to set a time threshold and to use one honeypot field. That basically, for most of our sites, solves the problem, but not in this particular case. So we ramped up and implemented some cool new features, especially here the crypto puzzle. Who of you knows how to detect bots with crypto puzzle? Okay. A couple of hands. Basically, what we do is we generate a one-time token, ask the client to append a string and calculate a hash over that, so that the hash meets a certain validation. For example, 4 leading zeros or so. And via that, we can control how hard it is and how long and how much effort somebody needs to put into that. For comparison, if you usually say you want 3 leading zeros or so, it takes for modern PC like mostly 1 second or so. So what did we implement except for that? Also backend rate limiting, blacklists, all that stuff. And then we said, okay, how can we deploy that in an easy manner for all of our forums, and how do other projects can also profit from that? So we turned it in a package. Basically, it does 2 things. It has all of the, not all of them, but most of the techniques implemented to detect the bots, and then it has different ways of preventing bot access or messing with the bot a little bit. Let's put it like that. And it's super easy to use. If you want to protect a form, you simply use a snippet of Fusion code. And if you want to prevent the bot access from calling your controller, you simply can add this AOP statement and you're fine. Now the question is, did it work? Here are the results. Yes, it worked wonderful. It stopped over 20,000 requests on the first day. Little mark for me, if you do something like that as a team lead who isn't always in production, remember to ignore those cases because your dev team is going to go wild if they see 20,000 errors popping up. So that's just as a hint. And yeah. And of course, the user who initially brought the problem to us also was happy because he was spared from the attack. The interesting thing, however, is we did further analysis in the traffic to see where it came from and what it did with our service, and it actually tried attacks of all sorts. So it was not simply a web scraper or something, it was an attack bot. And then by tracing the IP address, we found out that the customer of the one who opened the issue for us actually hired a pen testing firm to do pen testings against our site without our notice. And that's where the semi-manual approach came from, and that's why our usual bot protections didn't stand, but I would still say now we are the winner and we're better prepared for the future. If you want the package, we're gonna publish it here. Again, I wanted to have it finished by now, but social event. And peer errors and feedback are always welcome. And if there are questions, just come to me and everything's fine.
So thank you, Niklas. Let's check for questions. You can probably post the package as soon as you have it released in the Neo Slack. So everyone who couldn't catch the QR code has a chance to grab the package. So next up is Lukas. And if you were curious after the Zebra talk last year and tried the demo, you would probably have stumbled upon DevBox. And that's what Lukas will tell us about today. So.
All right. Hi, yeah, I'm Lukas, working at Network Team, and I'm going to tell you about our development setup. We're using DevBox instead of DDEV for other containerized setups. DevBox is local development setup for Mac and Linux, but it doesn't use containers, and you can actually use specific versions of your binaries and dependencies for each project. So if you have other NPM versions or PHP versions, you can install them for every project. You can also start services like databases or web servers like Apache and Nginx and so on, which is comparable to Docker Compose. You have a process compose file for that. You don't actually need any system tools. You don't need npm installed through Homebrew or anything else. You only need DevBox, then you have a portable development setup that should run on every system from every developer. It's reproducible because it's using Nix under the hood. I don't know, maybe somebody already heard about Nix, but you don't actually interact with Nix because DevBox does everything. You only interact with the DevBox interface. For those who don't know, Nix is a lot. It's a package manager, it's a build system, it's a functional language. yeah, maybe you already have seen somebody who built their own Linux with only the packages they need, and yeah, it can do a lot. Yeah, DevBox is, as I said, using the Nix packages collection. If you find a lot of binaries there, if you don't find them, you can also create your own, which are flakes, and at the end there are some links to our repositories, where we have, for example, a flake for Postgres. So Postgres is available from Nix packages, but you want some health checks and like for the ease of use to automatically start your process and so on. We have a flake for that. So let's get started. I'm assuming you have DevBox installed and want to create a new project. What you're going to do is you type DevBox init and you have it basically creates a new DevBox JSON file. Then you have the option to use denv. Denv is dependency optional to load the path or the binaries into your path of that directory. You could also just type devbox shell, and then you have a shell where the path is already set. I'm assuming you want to run PHP 8.3 or some PHP. So I'm searching for it to know which versions are available. In this case, I'm getting a truncated view. You could also use show all, then there are a lot more versions and packages available. So I just want to use the latest PHP 8.3 version, so I'm adding it to my DevBox JSON. And I now want to start the service, so I'm typing DevBox services up, which will start the process compose process. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the code. So first of all, I'm in my terminal, so I'm going to pull the demo project, which I already have. So I'm cloning my demo project. You can access that too, and it's probably hard to read, but the red part is denv loading all the binaries into your path. You also get a big print, which now your current path is. There's a pull request. Okay, so Christopher just told me there's an open pull request to hide this information, so you don't get bombarded with a lot of information every time you switch the directory. So I'm now in the Neos project. You can already see there's a process compose file, a devbox JSON, a devbox log, and yeah. We will have a look at them. So let's start with the devbox JSON. You have the JSON schema, you have your packages. Obviously, I now added a lot more to run Neos. You have a list of shell commands you want to run, or scripts basically. There's an init hook that runs every time the shell gets started. Some commands we are using to automatically start and migrate Neos, do the database migrations, create a new user, and so on. So you only really have to run one command to get started after pulling the Neos project. Obviously, other projects too. You can run any shell command here. I'm using, for example, flow and MySQL. You can also set environment variables. You can also load them from the .env file, as I'm doing in the init hook. Then there is the other part, process compose. So the process compose file is like the Docker compose file to describe your processes. This file, in this case, we are starting with Composer installed. So every time I start the project, Composer installs the current dependencies. Then you can see there's a dependency in the app init process, which runs the devbox init shell scripts, which is, so I don't have to find them here. And then there's another dependency for the app server. I'm running MySQL and Nginx, so you could also run the Flow server. And to see it in action, you can type devbox services up. You get a nice little interface. The Composer process now is running. It's installing everything. And you can see the app init and app server processes are pending. They're waiting for the Composer install. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. That's now done. The app init process is now creating my database. The database user is importing the demo site package. This could also automatically download from your Kubernetes cluster a database export and import it, whatever you want to do. And now the app server process is running, so let's check out the browser. Just reloading that. Page is running. And I'm with basically one command, devbox services up. My page is working. So that's it. Everything you need to know about it. If you have questions, you can come to me, to Christopher. There are also some links. There's the devbox page. We have a journal with a lot more details, also about the Zebra setup, with the Go setup, and so on, with a lot more details. The link to the NEOS 9 demo I just showed, and the link to the repository with our flakes. I think there's Elasticsearch and Postgres currently to have it and nicer work with them. That's it. Thank you for listening. And
thank you, Lucas, for showing us. And we have one last talk that was actually pitched to me yesterday on the dance floor. And obviously, I have no recollection what the title of this talk will be about, so I'm as surprised as you what we will hear now from Mark Henry. And are you ready?
Yes. I thought I was.
Please welcome on stage Mark Henry.
From the other thing I did today, earlier, what was it? Vortrag. Ui, ui, ui. So, I want to present to you something I've been also working on, and it's like a hobby project. We call it the Component Engine. We, as the Package Factory, it's the name Martin, Bernhard, Wilhelm, and us have developed this. It is an early beta or alpha, I don't know. Our idea is to solve a problem we have in the NEOS community, or at least we think it is there, and that is that components, we do have a strong separation of integration and presentation already, but there are so many ways to structure your presentation, and there's still sometimes infusing, sometimes a node leaking through, an EL helper that is still or a flow query, and many things. There is no language barrier that prevents types from flowing from A to Z, and also we have no type checking in Fusion. Last but not least, we think it might be a good opportunity to allow also declaring components in a more functional, pure way to be able to use them everywhere. Let me show that to you. Right here, I disabled my mouse and keyboard. We have, for example, a simple demo. I just render out this button, and the button is just a component we declared in a, let's say, inspired by JSX, but also just basic HTML and Fusion and props kind of syntax. We call it the component language. And right here, at first, we declare all props, and then we just render it out. The idea is it should really be a simple language. There will be not too much complexity inside. Most of the complexity will be drawn out to the integration, so you can simply compose objects. Not only primitive types like string or number or boolean are allowed, but also more complex types. For example, right here, I will showing you a text with button, where we will use this button as a prop for the text with button and add a text. This is pretty straightforward. We import the button as one thing and use it as rendering in the div. For that to work, we can just, I will just show this here. And then the live demo should update the text. We'll comment out that part. And then we have our final rendering. Further, there is type checking. So if I were to add to text, which we declared a string, a boolean, or just an integer, we will get already notified that this is not possible on the component language side. So if we instantiated components within components, this is already assured to work. For the integration in other languages, when we want to use PHP Fusion or whatever to instantiate it, there we have to show this from the outside, but that is no problem also. One more language thing is that we also have just simple content, like in Fusion. For example, I've built this component where we have the already known content from AFX, where we just insert all the children, and this also works quite nicely. This is all fun and games in a simple demo like this, but I want to show you a step further how this can be used for Fusion right now, as a drop-in replacement. And for that, I have this nice demo. And do you notice anything? Well, it looks exactly the same. The thing is, we still use Fusion here for the integration, but all the presentational components, I put them straight from Fusion to the component language syntax. So to view a simple thing like a headline, I can just open that up. It is declared right here. We have not a too big component. We declare some props, render it out. It is exactly the same as the old Fusion did. And then we get from the component engine, actually, that is the primary goal, a PHP class from it. It declares all the props, and it just renders this out as a simple HTML string. There is literally no overhead to be done. In Fusion, we can also use this headline, as I did, and this is just like a forwarding to the PHP class. And right now, I'm using this as a simple layer, so I don't have to already use other integration mechanisms. You probably only know Fusion because you're used to that, but we will experiment with allowing to use PHP here. Right now, for that, a lot of work has to be done. That's why we are still working on this. But you can already use this presentation headline, for example, in a REST, just a controller, and compose your strata structure if you have an endpoint and want to render still your presentation component. The idea is to be really universal. And to take that one step further, we want to allow at some point, and there was the idea in mind, to not only transpile this to PHP and Fusion, but to also allow some kind of isomorphic rendering to be able to transpile this directly to to react basically back. That is the whole idea. And yeah. Any questions? I missed two parts. We also have first level support for enums, which is cool, and for structs.
Thank you, Mark Henry. And I found a special gift for you in this speaker gift, and I think it's quite fitting for your demo. So that were the lightning talks of this year. And I think we have a lunch break coming up, Stefan.
Yes.
We do have a lunch break, and Mark Henry, not only did we steal time from you, we also forgot your speaker's present. You need the honey for the travel back home. And all the best. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Whoop. Thank you, Anke.